Hello, welcome to the June 2014 phoneword.org Registrar Workshop. This is the second Wednesday of the month. It is June the 11th, 2014. It's almost, I believe it is 5 p.m. Eastern Time and 9 p.m. GMT. So we are going to be talking about full stack JavaScript, and in particular the mean stack, which is a particular variety of the full stack JavaScript construct for web development and platform development. So we will talk a little bit about that, but first we're going to talk a little bit about phoneword.org and the PhoneWord Initiative, which is an initiative to create a new way of addressing and naming, addressing, and numbering for our transition that we're going through, where we're retiring the public switch telephone network, the time division multiplexing network, and we're moving into an all internet protocol arena. So PhoneWord has submitted a proposal to the Federal Communications Commission to participate in their numbering testbed trial, and this Friday, June the 13th, the Federal Communications Commission will be having an open meeting, and part of their discussion is about the all IP trials that are supposed to start at some point. And perhaps they'll be talking about the numbering testbed as well, but we really don't know. So we'll be looking forward to that. However, PhoneWord is designed to experiment with and create a new realm of naming, addressing, and numbering. Whether we participate in the numbering testbed sponsored by the Federal Communications Commission or not, we are embarking on this endeavor. So thank you for joining today. I'm going to hop into the presentation, which is available at www.phoneword.org, and you're welcome to follow along. And here we go. Okay, so you should see the presentation at this point. Phoneword.org, the Registrar Workshop, and we have these workshops on the second Wednesday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then the third Wednesday of each month at 11 a.m. Eastern, which I believe is 3 p.m. GMT, and for the second Wednesday it's 9 p.m. GMT for our workshop today. So going to the agenda, I've given you a little bit of an introduction to phoneword.org. Again, this is an initiative that's designed to create in a collaborative fashion a next generation, next set of naming, addressing, and numbering, which is designed to be over the top. It's designed to be elegant. It's designed to be inclusive of what already exists, however, in a new space of innovation that allows us to create things anew without being encumbered by the legacy elements of the past, such as the public switch telephone network, time division multiplexing, and all the constructs that have comprised the telephone network over the last 100+ years. The PhoneWord initiative is designed to allow a path of migration from the old into the new. So with that, we're going to be looking at a new set of tools to create that platform for innovation, and in particular in particular, we're looking at something called the mean stack, which we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the pros and cons of the mean stack. We'll talk a little bit about dialable rich media and the demonstration site, and then we will conclude with next steps and the path forward. So let's go ahead and get into it. What are the end goals for PhoneWord.org and the PhoneWord initiative? First and foremost, we are out to create something that's easy. Easy for people to use. Easy for people to connect in as simple a fashion as they're used to in terms of dialing what they're used to dial telephone numbers. Now they're going to dial a string of digits that looks like a telephone number, acts like a telephone number, but doesn't become a telephone number unless there is not a result forthcoming from the Internet Protocol network. So we want to make it easy so that everybody in the world basically can use this. The second thing we're out to create is something that's secure. Something where the user, the subscriber to the number or the fully qualified domain name has control over what's presented, how the service works, and in particular their privacy. We're interested in incorporating a public-private key authentication mechanism, and the end goal of this is to combine the two opposite ends of the spectrum up until this point, ease with security. So we're looking to make something that's easy to use but yet secure. Some of the end user value propositions are that it's peer-to-peer, so we really make it as simple and elegant as possible. We intend to use WebRTC. We're very interested in the realm of identity management, having some new breakthroughs and innovations there. We're interested in creating something that's a unified contact method. So in other words, what would it be like if all your addresses were related, work together? Keep in mind, you still have control, but what if they all work together in a unified fashion? And then the last point, which I think is important, is that if during this development process something doesn't work, we always have the fallback to the traditional legacy public switch telephone network, copper network, if you will, time division multiplexing network. We want to make that always available as a last resort fallback method. So we've gone over this in the past. If you haven't watched some of the prior workshops, please take a look. We go into more depth in these elements, but it's always good to keep in mind what our goals are. So let's jump right into the mean stack elements and architecture. What is the mean stack? Well, the mean stack stands for MongoDB, which is a database element of this. And this is a contemporary database. It's new, it's scalable, and it really takes a different approach to the traditional way of database architecture from the past. The other item is Express, which is a web application framework designed to work with Node.js to fill in some areas that Node.js does not have and make a complete full stack JavaScript framework to develop web applications, powerful web applications. And the last element, the next element is AngularJS, which is a client-side web application framework. This is backed by Google primarily. It is an open source project, and it's designed to allow easy, modular, client-side web development. Then the last element is Node.js, which is server-side JavaScript. So in a nutshell, those are the four elements that comprise the acronym MEAN for MongoDB, Express, AngularJS, and Node.js. So why full stack JavaScript? What's the big deal? Why is this a superior approach to other approaches for creating something like the PhoneWord platform, a new platform for naming, addressing, and numbering? Well, JavaScript is the language of the web. It's emerged as the language of choice for very powerful applications, and it's been part of the traditional stacks. However, now it's really emerged, JavaScript has really emerged as the language of choice for developing on the web. So what are some of the dimensions of JavaScript? Well, first of all, there's a huge community of people that know how to develop program code in JavaScript. There are millions of JavaScript developers out there, and by having one language end-to-end, the idea is that we will have a platform that's powerful to develop in and open to the largest possible community to participate and contribute in this initiative. So let's talk a little bit, let's back up just a little bit and go over each of these elements just to talk about what the MEAN stack, what's special about the MEAN stack. MongoDB, I said, is a database, but it's a new contemporary type of database. It is a document store. So instead of the traditional way of approaching databases, of using tables in a relational database, MongoDB is now using elements called JSON, JavaScript Object Notation, as to contain the contents of the database. It's using a key value construct that does not have a schema associated with it and is very scalable, very flexible, and very agile. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. So that's all those things are very conducive to the application that PhoneWord.org is developing for next generation naming, addressing, and numbering. Express is also written in JavaScript and is basically an enhancement to Node.js to complete the full stack. AngularJS is, as I said, very modular, and it is designed to create powerful, flexible websites, primarily that are single-page websites, and this has turned into I would say, the framework of choice for the client-side web application, and the community that's around AngularJS is growing consistently, and the elements in this MEAN stack seem to be the elements of choice for full-stack JavaScript. Node.js has been around for about 4 years, and again is server-side JavaScript. There are some very powerful characteristics to Node.js. Number one, it is non-blocking input-output, so this non-blocking I/O makes it very fast. It's again, it's written in JavaScript, which makes it accessible to many. Um, it is designed for peer-to-peer connectivity, and it is opening up new applications that had not previously been either feasible or that easy to develop. So there's a lot going on with Node.js. You can click any of these links. You can go to the websites underneath. You can read more about it. And in the next week's workshop, the intention is that we'll actually have some code that you can work with and that will be posted. So, and possibly some examples. So let's go to the next slide, which is what are the mean stack considerations? What's the considerations for using full stack JavaScript instead of a basket of different languages, Java, PHP, MySQL, Postgres, whatever, where you have to, if you really want to get your arms around the entire thing, you've got to know something about all those languages, or at least part of them. Well, again, JavaScript is the language of the web. There's a tremendous amount of momentum behind JavaScript and full stack JavaScript. It accommodates agile development. It doesn't box you into a particular database schema, and most importantly, it is fast. The connectivity is very fast. What are the cons? What are the considerations on the downside? Well, it is new. There's still a lot of development going on in this full stack. There are standards that are being set, continue to be set, and it's kind of the new kid on the block. So part of the consideration around taking on the development of a platform that's designed to have a 10, 20-year life is this newness factor. It's my opinion, however, that the full stack JavaScript is definitely the way to go for an initiative like PhoneWord, which is creating a registry, registrar, and registrant layers for opening up a new realm of naming, addressing, and numbering. The other thing is that this is a significantly different approach from the past. We're not using Apache servers. We're not using relational databases like MySQL or Postgres, and there's still people that are yet to be convinced that this is the way to go. So those are some of the considerations in terms of the cons, if you will, or the potential downsides of adopting this approach of full stack JavaScript, and in particular the mean stack. So let's go on to the next slide. So here are some resources that are available, and keep in mind that this is just getting started, so there's not a lot of substantive content behind these. However, we are holding these workshops twice a month that will be very similar to one another, but they're held at on different days at different times of the day to give people, as many people as possible, a chance to participate, get involved with the PhoneWord initiative. So the second Wednesday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is 9 p.m. GMT, and then the third Wednesday of each month at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. GMT. And you can go to phoneword.org, follow the events, follow the registrar workshops, look for new resources that will be available at phoneword.org. You can also follow us on Twitter, phoneword.org, and let's see, we'll be posting on LinkedIn and Google Plus at this point. Now, there has been a GitHub repository set up for phoneword.org. There's nothing on it than just some little test exercises. However, we will be making the code available for phoneword.org, the registry, and other elements for the community to participate in or with. And then, of course, the overall phoneword.org website will have resources as well. And we're planning to add a blog, group, chat, and other elements that will be useful for the community to get involved with and participate in. So the next slide is the browser dialing example, and this is a very, very crude, basic example of a web-based dialer. This is using a platform called Phono, and you can actually go to phoneword.us. You can click the 1-800-PHONEWORD, and it will actually make a call. You will have to allow the browser, and I do recommend that you use Chrome or Firefox. You will have to allow the browser to access your microphone, and that'll be a little pop-up button in the upper right-hand corner of your browser. So, but this is the site where the experimentation, the development will be taking place. So next slide is just going over who is being invited to participate. Phoneword.org has 3 basic levels in the community. One is commercial registrars, and this is designed for companies that are for-profit companies that can get involved, experiment, not only with the technology, but more important, with the policy and the business models. So phoneword.org is designed to be not only a test bed for the technology, but also a test bed for the policy and the business models. Because we think that the combination of those 3, technology, policy, and business models, are basically inseparable. Even though we talk about just testing the technology is pretty well built and developed. The real innovation comes in the business models and the policy set to govern, authenticate, identity manage, and so forth around the initiative of PhoneWord and the transition from the legacy telephone network into an all internet protocol network. And again, I won't go over that in detail here because we've talked about it in other workshops and on a sister site called phoneword.com under the PhoneWord forum. But clearly there's, for this initiative and the initiative that's been launched and initiated, for this to really move forward, there has to be a dance, if you will, of those 3 elements: technology, policy, and business models. So for commercial registrars, companies that are either incumbent carriers or maybe vendors or internet-related companies, PhoneWord is designed to offer you a test bed, a way to collaborate, a way to experiment and create what is next for your business, your company, and your desire to innovate. The sponsored registrars are more for entities that are either nonprofit, maybe regulatory, but maybe academic, that are interested in participating and experimenting in what's new, but aren't out to create a commercial endeavor. General participants are interested people that would like to contribute, maybe participate in some form or fashion. We'll be announcing a way for people to get involved and participate in various ways, including commercial ways. So those are the three communities. You can find out more by going to www.phoneword.org, and you can join the initiative and the phoneword.org community. So that leads me into collaboration. This is all designed to foster as much collaboration as possible, and we're really out to build a community here that goes beyond just a community in North America, really a community that's worldwide. So we want to make this as inclusive as possible. So that brings me up to the next slide, which is basically, what do you want? And we are just getting started with this, but the idea is to listen for what people want. What do users want? What do incumbent carriers, web enterprises, vendors, what do you want? What do you want to play with to create something new? And that's really the intention with phoneword.org, is to foster that. The next steps and milestones, again, we have these workshops, second and third Wednesday. You can join us via Google Hangout if you'll send an interest in doing that to jcarpenter@phoneword.org, or you can dial in. We are working on a registry as a prototype, as well as registrar APIs. Excuse me, and we will be adding to the technical and governance organization elements, such as the policies. The intention is that we build, we create, we evaluate, and we iterate as rapidly as possible. So here's the contact information, which you can find on www.phoneword.org. And the last slide is thank you. Join us. And you can click on that and go to the website where you can sign up as either a commercial registrar or a sponsored registrar. So I am going to go back to turning off the slide share. I thank you for joining. Again, we're just getting started. PhoneWord has been a candidate in the initiative that was announced by the Federal Communications Commission in January. An indication of interest was submitted in February, the middle of February. There was a numbering testbed workshop on March 25th that we participated in, and there hasn't been much information that's been released since that numbering testbed workshop on March 25th. This Friday, June the 13th, the Federal Communications Commission, during its open meeting, will be talking about the all IP transition and the experiments that have been proposed. And there haven't been that many experiments proposed, but there might be some light shed on the numbering testbed initiative this coming Friday. So with any luck at all, by this time next week, when and again we will be having the workshop earlier in the day on the 18th of June, but by the time we have the workshop on the 18th of June, there should be some additional information and hopefully some guidance on where the numbering testbed initiative is at, the direction, and so forth. There has been issues management group set up to monitor the numbering testbed initiative, and that issues management group is associated with the North American Numbering Council, or NANCY. However, that's basically just been formed and is pretty much awaiting instruction from the Federal Communications Commission. But again, this is an opportunity to really innovate, and whatever the outcome is with the numbering testbed and the all IP transition, there's a huge sea change that's underway, that's underway, and there's an opportunity to innovate, create basically what's next. So thank you for joining. Please tune in next week, and we will move forward with what's next. Thank you.